Common Bottlenose Dolphins Song and Behavioral Ecology. The following 10 tonal, striated, and rhythmic vocalizations suggest that the Atlantic common bottlenose dolphin has a song. An analysis of their complex songs suggests that they may be improvising their songs. This hypothesis is inferred from their complex songs being quite different from each other and being associated with possible high levels of excitement. These 10 recordings of their songs suggest that the common bottlenose dolphins are exchanging notes and are at times chorusing. Perhaps both sexes are singing. Their song likely reveals the personality and mood of the individuals singing. From their songs likely being a kind of social creativity, seeing as though there is convincing evidence that the common bottlenose dolphin has an ability to reason. From their complex song, unique cultural evolutionary freedom, 3 distinctive close interspecies friendships, and the evidence that they have a peaceful composure between conspecifics in comparison to other vertebrates, suggests that their songs are a kind of window to an individual's loving soul, and that they are likely forming close social bonds, which as inferred causes jealousies to emerge from females and males not pairing up in long-term associations. This best explains their aggressive interactions with other small delphinids. At the end of the 10 dolphin recordings, I have included my interpretation of the notes of 2 songs determined from spectrum and frequency analysis, played on an electric keyboard. However, my findings have yet to be verified, are not yet conclusive. The common bottlenose dolphin, Tersiops truncatus, has greater cultural and evolutionary freedom than primates, nomadic hunter and gatherers, and other cetacean species. The common bottlenose dolphin has unique, exceptional cultural and evolutionary freedom from Atlantic coastal populations having a scission coalescing small group composition with a small home range. A friendship favorable group composition. They're hunting cooperatively and they're living in a three-dimensionally situated environment. This reducing intrusions of personal space. Another, there being a robust species of delphinid. Another, they have a high level of echolocation ability. Another way they have evolutionary freedom is from their signature whistle. Allows them to avoid at a distance disturbing encounters with those they are not fond of. Another, there is low competition between conspecifics when they feed. Another, they have a peaceful composure between conspecifics. Another, they have many highly effective defensive mechanisms, including that they are a social species, swim in a tight schools when there is danger, can detour sharks with their rostrum, and do not have heavy predatory impact as a species. They sleep with half their brain awake and can echolocate in the dark and murky water. Another, they eat a high energy food source. They have evolutionary freedom from being a social species that elicit a more effective behavioral response. The amoeba. The female is known to engage in exceptional sexual preferences. The complex song of the Atlantic bottlenose dolphin from two recordings of captive bottlenose dolphins, Terceps truncatus, one from the British Library and the other from an actual recording I made at an oceanarium. I have shown that they have a complex song. Suspect that they improvise songs, exchange songs, engage in social creativity, and mimic each other's song, made with tonal striated vocalizations and other kinds of vocalizations, and seemingly sing in a notable rhythm. The dolphin song described in the literature on a different species of bottlenose dolphin, the Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphin, Terceps aduncis, which is shown to be mimicked between conspecifics, is more like a series of striated non-tonal sounds, rather than being a series of tonal notes sung rhythmically. There is convincing evidence for the Atlantic common bottlenose dolphin singing in the complex way described above. I do not know, however, if the Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphin has a song like the common bottlenose dolphin or not. However, I provide convincing evidence that the Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphin likely does not have an ability to reason, in accordance with the freedom to intellectualize theory, as introduced in my article on the amoeba-innate response in the Open Journal of Animal Science, from their more aggressive temperament, which restricts their evolutionary freedom. They're having greater predatory impact over their species distribution, and they're apparently not having an interspecies close friendship with the common bottlenose dolphin, nor with any of the three cetacean species which the common bottlenose dolphin has a friendship with, which is in harmony with the common bottlenose. Their friendships are in harmony with their friends are in harmony with the common bottlenose dolphins. Comparatively peaceful between conspecific. Creative personality. The Atlantic common bottlenose dolphin songs are accompanied with sounds which subjectively sound like excitement. See the recordings for some examples of sounds of possible excitement that accompany a song. Though they seemingly commonly engage in social creativity in song, humans as a social species rarely do this, To give as an expression is an affection of the me bird. In modern society, outside of with body language and an intonation of speech, social creativity in the visual arts, in music composition, and in the literature is possible in the future. In government ideal community of a communist or socialist nation, which has a comprehensive, equal distribution of the wealth. Evidence for the common bottlenose dolphin having an ability to reason comes from 1. The common bottlenose dolphin having a complex tonal rhythmic song that is seemingly improvised and used in social creativity. This is in line with her having an ability to reason. 2. That they have 3 close interspecies friendships in harmony with their peaceful composure, creative abilities, and long-term associations of males, suggesting that they are tending to the behaviors that are a result of an ability to reason, per the peaceful composure theorem and the proof of 2 new theories of evolution. 3. The common bottlenose dolphin has unique, exceptional cultural and evolutionary freedom amongst vertebrates, mammals, and delphinids, and having greater cultural and evolutionary freedom than primates, other species of odontocetes, and human, and even greater evolutionary freedom than human nomadic hunters and gatherers in accordance, following the freedom to intellectualize theory, including that the Atlantic coastal populations have a friendship-favorable group composition, a scission coalescing group composition within a small home range, and has more meager experiences. And therefore, individuals have more distinctive personalities, as explained in my article on the amoeba in the Open Journal of Animal Science, so that sexual preferences are more apt to come into play, and refined sexual preferences are more apt to come into play, while individuals can avoid contact with approaching individuals of the population that they are not fond of, from detecting the signature whistle of conspecifics. This reduces stress. The common bottlenose dolphin have reduced predatory impact as a species, reducing stress. In comparison with the Indo-Pacific common bottlenose dolphin, and that a certain percentage of a population engages in cooperative feeding, reducing stress. This allows for sexual preferences to be more refined. 4. The common bottlenose dolphin, that they have reduced conflict between conspecifics when foraging and mating, also provides them with exceptional evolutionary freedom from reduced stress, allowing for sexual preferences to be more refined. Their displaced aggression as a species, their displaced aggressiveness against other species of smaller cetacean is shown to be a function of close loving friendships which form from social creativity and love, and jealousies which emerge from females and males not pairing up in long-term associations. So the common bottlenose dolphin has strong jealousies, and this is unique in animals, species. Obviously, there's something to learn from this, that it's important that if a species has an ability to reason, that their society be in harmony with their nature, with their loving non-competitive, non-aggressive nature. Otherwise, the amoeba comes into play and it intensifies aggressive interactions and causes as well intense jealousies, obviously, as we can learn from the common bottlenose dolphin. So there's really important to realize that this society needs a high level of social consciousness to deal with the problem of jealousies that emerge, not just from between males and females, but that emerge from a competitive society. And also it's very important to realize that the amoeba innate response is used in societies where there is a low level of social consciousness to try to manipulate others, which causes extreme aggressive interactions and creates much more aggression than there normally would be. So the circumstance of a species having an ability to reason ought to be compensated for, and that meaning that there should be a high level of social consciousness. Due to the fact that there's evidently, there is for certain large societal problems without a high level of social consciousness due to the amoeba innate response, and due to the fact that the circumstance of having an ability to reason and love causes extreme jealousies that doesn't appear in a society with a high level of social consciousness. Convincing evidence that the evolved ability to reason is presented in my forthcoming book on the zoology of the common bottlenose dolphin, and in my second book about being published in conjunction with it on 2 new theories of evolution of Nicholovich Rose. So this part of the video, I'm going to discuss the problems, societal problems as they relate to the common bottlenose dolphin, which is important to realize. A lot of people don't even know that there are serious, very important problems related to the common bottlenose dolphin. One is that researchers need to collaborate and they're competing, and that's causing there to be misinformation just to get money, to get funding, when what is needed is an organization for all researchers to clearly define what is aggression, and that would be an act of hitting or biting or an act of displacement, but it would not be an act of chasing, because that could be a play behavior, or an act of raking, which could be a play behavior, or an act of charging. If it's no displacement, it could be an act of play behavior. Dogs often engage in behaviors that look like they're fighting, but they are play behaviors. So the only way to clearly have a basis for comparison between species and populations and individuals is to look at the frequency of displacement, and if it occurs at all, and in the frequency of biting or hitting, if it occurs at all. And it's reported as infrequently occurring. So that's the first thing. It's very important to standardize research. So there's no fighting that gets in the way of knowledge. And that requires an organization to communicate. The best way for nations from a communist country and a capitalist country to communicate is from online, without video and without audio, but with a kind of a chat service, because that way there's no conflict. especially is if all messages are sent for possible ambiguities and possible symbolic messages of intentional or unintentional symbolic messages that could get in the way of communication. So that's the first thing. There needs to be better collaboration between researchers globally without elitism. Elitism gets in the way as well for a species that has an ability to reason, because it causes extreme conflict. There also needs to be, in the future, there should be, number two, there needs to be a standardized way of studying common bottlenose dolphins without harming them in any way. We should treat them as though they are humans, because and that is, we should not harm them in any way, which means we don't put devices on them and don't hold them captive and don't harass them. It's important to take that into consideration. A lot of researchers want to strap things on them and pester them and stuff like that, but there are ways to study them from the balloon or silent drones without giving them any harassment and without harming them at all, their ecology. So number three, why and how we can protect common bottlenose dolphins and humans from safety and health problems due to human endeavors. We also have to consider all species, because there's mass extinctions going on due to global warming. From convincing evidence that the common bottlenose dolphin has an ability to reason, conclusive evidence for the theorem that a species with an ability to reason is loving, non-competitive, and non-aggressive, as reviewed in my article on the Meber innate response, and there is evidence from there being evidence that jealousies cause common bottlenose dolphins displaced aggression against species of small odontocetes. It is inferred that they ought to be observed and studied in nature from silent boats that do not disturb them. Only music they like and the voice of a person with a high level of social consciousness, but not food or touch, should invite them to approach silent boats to observe them, including their interesting singing behaviors, while researchers who study them ought to collaborate. Researchers can still choose to present their opinions on whether or not they are from the Darwinian or Rose camp as to how species evolve, and as to whether they want to promote Darwinian or Jealousies psychology. However, they ought to be required to collaborate. This will show respect for humans and a common bottlenose dolphin being loving and non-competitive and non-aggressive, which will promote a sustainable world peace, and there being a new United Nations solely based upon a new psychology. To promote collaboration further, government funding and anonymous private funding could encourage international cooperation and collaboration for the study of this unique vertebrate species. The new United Nations can also help to protect the common bottlenose dolphin from being held captive and from harassment and pollution from human endeavors, including from bioaccumulation of toxic substances due to human endeavors, acidification due to global warming, and CO2 buildup in the marine environment from global warming, which detrimentally affects the food chain. Algal blooms due to global warming are detrimentally affecting marine life and causing diseases. 5. fungal infections are causing a higher mortality rate in delphinids due to there being more fresh water in the ocean from large storms due to global warming. 6. There's a lot of direct animal harassment, which is documented as commonly occurring due to whatever political reasons. And 7, it's documented in the United States. And I'm not sure in other countries, but it's documented as happening in the United States. 7, plastic waste that is dumped into our rivers and accumulates in ocean gyres. These are environmental problems, and they're serious problems. That species of a coral reef's ecosystems are in danger of extinction in not so distant future due to ocean acidification and CO2 buildup. Is described in my forthcoming book on 2 new theories of evolution and on the zoology of the common bottlenose dolphin. The amoeba innate response is important to society suggests that it is important as a motivating force for work. The evidence presented above for the amoeba being of importance to society and the evidence for the theorem that humans are loving, non-competitive, and non-aggressive in nature suggests the amoeba is an important motivating force for work. However, it can only be a motivating force for work in a society with a high level of social consciousness. The amoeba as a motivating force for work is in harmony with human nature and is enjoyable without the drawbacks of competition, social conditioning, and brainwashing as a motivation to work. In capitalist nations, the amoeba is often used to be manipulative for selfish gain rather than to promote social consciousness